Welcome to the Caribbean Edge. I am so thankful to have these beautiful women join me tonight, these phenomenal women. And thank you, viewers, for joining us for Tea Time with T.C.E. So I do have my little handy dandy teapot here and my cup of tea for tonight as I sit back and chill with these women. I'm your host for tonight, Dawn Wilson. So welcome, welcome, welcome. And I have joining me Miss Tamieka. Hi, Tamieka. How are you?
Good. I'm good.
Good. Well, welcome. And we have Miss Monique.
Hello.
Hi, Monique. How are you?
Great. How are you?
I'm doing well too. And Miss Sherry, welcome as well.
Hi, everybody.
How was your day, Sherry?
My day was very stressful, but I got through it. So I'm
there
good.
You go. We're all here today just to sit back and hear from these beautiful women about their journey and why they were actually handpicked to join me tonight to talk about what it's like to be a woman, and especially a phenomenal woman. Now, back in 1987 is when they founded Women's History Month. So like a lot of women, we're not aware of a lot of things that are there. So it's really nice that we can do this and close out the month of March by celebrating women and recognizing us for our contributions that often go unrecognized, right?
Right.
So we never, in speaking to all these women, none of them actually think that they should be on here, which is really funny because that's just how humble we can be. We're just doing what we need to do to survive, right? Yeah. So I want to start with Miss Sherry. Miss Sherry, tell us about you and where you're from, your background and family.
Okay. I'm from actually Fort Lauderdale, Florida. I went to Stranahan High School where I played several sports there. I played basketball, volleyball, ran track. And also I was All-American. I was player of the year when I became a senior, best defensive player for the state of Florida. Had a lot of recruits come through. I was raised by a single parent mother, and I have a husband, and I have 2 boys and a grandson now, and a daughter-in-law, all in one. So I'm happy, humbled to be on tonight. So thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. I think Sherry's being a little modest because I read that you were the most highly recruited female athlete. Yeah. So what sports were you involved in? Because I think young women need to know this too.
Okay, I was involved in basketball, volleyball, and softball, and I ran track. But where I got most of the I got a scholarship, 4-year scholarship at University of Houston for basketball, and then I transferred from University of Houston to Claflin College, where I actually got my sociology degree from. Which it was a big difference going to one school and to another school, well, all white school compared to going to all black school. So I had both of the worlds where I was able to learn different things, how to handle different people at different times. So, yeah.
Yeah, and what would you say to all the athletes, especially the female athletes out there? I mean, you did a lot of sports, a lot of them probably do 1 or 2. But what did your experience teach you that you'd want to pass on to the younger generation?
It teaches you to be a leader. It teaches you to actually learn how to help someone else that's lacking in another area to become as one, as a unit for one. And it teaches you how to be strong in every areas of your life, and then to also be to the point where nothing is impossible. You can't give up. You got to keep going no matter what. And that's what it gave to me, a lot of inspiration to lead and guide.
Absolutely. I had a conversation with my daughter last night, who is also a state champion for Cardinal Gibbons here in Florida. And I said, because she has to travel now because she started working. And I said, do you mind traveling? And she's like, I think volleyball got me used to that, you know, just having to travel and be on the road and get on an airplane. So now she doesn't mind it at all. Me, I hate the hustle and bustle, but it teaches you so much and at a young age to just be adventurous, open doors for you. So yes, if you're watching and you're especially a female athlete, knows that it just opens so many doors. Like Sherry mentioned, the scholarships that are available, the friendships and the bonds as well that you take, and just a healthy lifestyle too. Because I find that a lot of athletes take that into their older years or as they mature as well to know how to train their bodies as well. So thank you. So glad to have you.
Thank you.
And Miss Monique, tell us about you.
Well, I'm from Baltimore, Maryland. I was born and raised there with both my parents, and I have an older brother. Lived there until about 99. And like Sherry said, I played sports in school. As far as I can remember, basketball, volleyball, those were my two sports. I did not run track, probably should have, but I didn't run then. But I moved to Georgia in 99 and I'm married, 2 kids, 2 dogs, and I'm still very active. As you know, we kind of talked about this earlier, but I still love to play sports. And that's pretty much it. I sell real estate. That's what I do full time. I've been doing it 17 years now, and it's my passion. I love it. And I live a simple life, really.
So we're gonna dig into how you got there, because I'm sure there were some bumps along the road.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So another athlete for us on the panel, and I'm gonna challenge our viewers. You know, if you could just tell us what tea you're drinking tonight, that would be just awesome. So me as your host, I'm here just sipping on some Jamaican peppermint tea. So that's what's in my pot. What's in your pot? So Sherry, what's in your cup?
Oh, I'm sorry. I got my teacup here. My tea is peach orange tea.
Peach orange. There you go. How about you, Monique?
I have green tea in my
green
cup.
Tea, healthy too. And let's go to Tamieka. What's in your cup, Tamieka?
We'll pretend it's green tea. I don't normally drink green tea, but we'll pretend it's green tea for tonight.
We'll pretend it's green tea. So let's talk to you a little bit, Tamieka. Tell us about you.
My name is Tamieka Green. I am the owner and principal designer of Greg Lewis Interiors, which is an interior design firm in Atlanta. So we do residential and commercial interior design, and we do home staging. And I'm also the owner recently, within the last 2 years, of Greg Lewis Investments, where we focus more on real estate investments. I was born in Detroit, grew up in Miami, and I've been in Atlanta for, I think it's been like 12 years now. I am a mother of a 21-year-old. I call her a roommate because she's not a child anymore. And that's pretty much it.
Thank you. And I can see my guests are being very modest right now, but welcome all 3 beautiful women. So we're going to dig in a little bit because life isn't always perfect. And as women, we know that. Our male guests also know that as well. Some of them support these women, and some, you know, we've had our rocky relationships along the way as well. So I want to just go through with our guests and talk about some of the hardships that we go through as women and the challenges in life, and how we overcome those challenges and, you know, just find peace within ourselves. And hopefully we all can find that peace within ourselves. So Sherry, I do know that you've had a very rocky road, but then you are at a comfortable place in life, and you can tell us otherwise. But tell us about you as far as your journey and the hardships that you went through.
Okay, yes. The hardships that I went through, my husband ended up going to jail for 20 years. So that left me to raise two young boys to become young men. And I had to take that stride to, that's where the sports come in at, to be strong and independent. But through that process, because I had to trust the process within myself first, and ask questions, why this and why that. And then I had to forgive myself before I can forgive someone else for that. So to forgive the unforgiven. So when I say that, is that you got to forgive yourself first. And then once you do that, then you can move on to forgive someone else. And I believe that everyone deserves a second chance, no matter what, because we all have made choices that we shouldn't have made, and we had that choice to move forward. With all of that said, with me going through that piece, getting the boys ready for school, getting them learning about life, learning how to manage money, and learning how to find out what sports that they were interested in. And thank God that they were able to get scholarship as well, because I was, when I say I love the sports, I coached it, I refereed it. So that helped me along the way to guide my young boys to men. So with all of that, and not only that, with me going, and cancer came on the arrival. Learning how to just learning how to take care of yourself and eat better and do things that you're supposed to do to stay healthy, and wrap around my mind, just going through that, along with other, friends and family was there, but you still got to go through it by yourself at some point. Not only that, I'm a second chance survivor of cancer, as it came in 2019. It came in 2014. So I'm just getting over the radiation point as of January. So when I say that I'm renewed and being able to move forward, it's because of the sports that I was in, to continue on to be who you are and make sure that you are not going to give up on yourself in life. And what kept me going is my boys, because they are my joy. So that's me.
So I do have questions, and viewers, panelists, if you have questions, please ask. It must have been very, very difficult. So you and your husband were married, and then he got arrested.
Correct.
And was he the bread bearer for the family?
I always worked. But yeah, he did make most of the money. But when that other income was gone, then I had to end up getting another job to make sure that the boys' needs are met. And I had help, with coaches, pastors, and also the extended family. My brother-in-law stepped in, the grandparents stepped in. So they gave me a break during the summertime where I can adjust for me, so I can be able to stay healthy as well. But it's nothing like when you have everybody in a village to help you. It's nothing like being there for your boys when they're sick, when they're going through homework, when they get hurt in practice. I'm there all of 24/24. So those challenges was hard, but again, with the sports, it leads you and it strives you to just continue to go. Because when I played sports, I never gave up, no matter what. Even if I was hurt, I never gave up. So that's where I am right now, going through just being able to receive all the seeds. I'm always a giver, and I always give. When my kids couldn't wear the shoes anymore, I gave them to someone else. So that's just how I am. And now my seeds are actually coming forth right now. We're living in the Kairos moment, Karios is the season now. So I'm grateful and thankful for planting those seeds and those seeds coming back to me and my family.
Thank you. So let's talk a little bit about cancer.
Mm-hmm.
So when you got that initial news, was your husband still in jail at that point?
Yes, he was still in jail. I had a lot of friends, church members around and to support me. They wouldn't let me be at the house by myself because I have a house in Phoenix, and that's where I lived at when the first cancer came in 2014. And so a lot of the family and friends came and supported me. They wouldn't let me lift nothing. They wouldn't let me do anything, but they made sure I got to the doctor's appointment that is needed. When I was going down, I'm about big numbers. So when I first found out I had cancer, I had 3 friends that came in and they prayed for me, the doctors, and were always there. As they were rolling me down to the room, I was in room 3. So I think of that as being the Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. And so when I went in, it was like angels surrounded me. So at that point, it made me feel as easy to get through the process, to know that I had that up with me at that time, in that moment.
Wow. And your boys, let's talk about your boys. How are they? Because they went through that transition with you, seeing you as a single mom, having to deal with the fact that their dad wasn't there, as well as now their mom is sick as well. What was it? I'm sure it was hard for your boys, but anything you could share with us that made them get through it as well?
Well, my oldest was playing at Murray State at the time, and my youngest was still in his senior year. So they both was worried, but I told them, don't worry, just continue going on with your life, because I don't want your life to stop. And so they know that all they saw through their mom's life was hard work, making sure that all needs are being met in their lives. And that's where they are today, because my oldest played overseas in Switzerland on semi-pro basketball. And my youngest, he played football, won the championship. And also he's assistant manager for Enterprise. So they're all are being successful. And my youngest is staying in the house in Phoenix that I have. And my oldest, he has his own house. He's had his own business. So we're all about striving for the best for the next generation.
Yeah, you're such a mom. You're like, yeah, I told them don't worry about me.
Well, yeah, I mean, because I didn't want them to mess up in their school, their grades. Mom is gonna make it no matter what.
Yeah.
And if I don't, you're taught enough to still go on with your life. And I have given you enough tools to work with so you can have your family to be successful as well.
You are so powerful. I'm just getting chills listening to you, Sherry, because I can't imagine handling all the things that you've dealt with. You can say, oh my gosh, I'm getting teary-eyed again. But just one woman going through so much and still having the positive vibe, the energy, and watching your face light up when you talk about your boys is amazing. So thank you. Wow. Phenomenal woman you are. I appreciate you. Okay, so let's go over to Tamieka. You guys have any questions for Sherry?
So Sherry, when your husband went away, did you have time to prepare, and how old were your boys then when he first left?
What now?
When he left, when he had to go away.
My boys were 5 and 6 years old.
Oh, so they're close. They're like a year apart.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So I had to do a lot of explaining
Mm-hmm.
to them. but I was determined not to allow them to be like their father at that time. And one thing I never would stop them from talking to him, sending letters to him. That's something that I would not do. And a lot of parents, a lot of women would say, oh, I'm gonna get you for child support. And it's not about that, because if they're behind bars, there's no way that they can support them. Right. So with that said alone, I just knew that if my mom, who was a single parent, raised 5 of us, I said, I surely can raise 2.
Okay.
Yes, thank you both.
You're
and
welcome.
Tamieka, let's dive into your story, because I know you're successful now. So tell us about your journey.
Successful, it feels so weird. I guess everybody has their own level of success, but to me, it's like I'm just doing what I love and just trying to keep my head above the water every day. But if that's what you guys want to call it, I'll take it. I was a teacher, an art teacher at an elementary school for 10 years before I branched off and decided to do my business full time. So there was one point for about 4 years where it kind of overlapped, and I was teaching and running the business at the same time. Luckily, I was able to get in a place where I could, step away from teaching, resign from teaching, and focus on my business full time. And it was a huge leap of faith, but it felt right. And I now see that it was the right decision. And I think it felt right because that's what I was supposed to do. So here I am 12 years later, with now 2 businesses, which I'm pretty proud of. And, looking forward to expanding some more. Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
Sorry. What would you say to young women that are starting out? Like, what lessons did you learn along the way?
Oh God, so many. I have made some bad decisions. Like this wasn't easy. It wasn't an easy road. But I think it came to a point where I felt like I deserved to have my own business and deserved to be able to step away from teaching. And once I realized and felt like I was, credible enough to do it, everything just kind of started falling into place. So for young girls, I don't know, like, I think a lot of people feel like because they've made some mistakes, it's all over, or bad decisions all over. But I mean, I walked myself through it and I got out of it, and, I'm kind of coasting now, so.
Okay. So what gave you the confidence to say, I'm going to give up one career and start another one? Was there a support system? What was your mindset like? Were you at rock bottom?
I wouldn't say I was at rock bottom. I think I got to a point in my life where I took out everything that didn't give me peace or didn't make me happy. And that goes with anything. That goes with relationships, that goes with jobs, that goes with friendships. And the minute I did that and just started, and not that I didn't love teaching, the kids were great. I just went to work every day and it just didn't feel like I couldn't see myself retiring there and doing that for the rest of my life. But when I was doing design, it didn't even feel like work. So I knew that's where, if I was going to continue on this trend of getting rid of everything that didn't make me feel happy and excited, that had to go. And I had to, take that leap and head towards the thing that did make me feel happy. I would go all day working, sleep 4 or 5 hours a night and not even feel like I worked. Like it was okay because I loved it so much.
Yes. So congratulations on that, because you took a leap of faith on yourself as well. A lot of people, I think most people struggle with that, to say, I'm going to give up, a consistent job or right, somewhat of a guaranteed job. I don't think many things are guaranteed anymore. Right. Even before COVID-19, people, company shut down, whatever happens, and you work for them for 20 years, 5 years, 10 years, and you're out of a job and you thought you'd be there forever. So like you said, having fun, doing what you're doing doesn't even feel like you're working, and you can live a comfortable life. So that in itself is very inspirational, because a lot of us struggle with that. It's like, what's paying the mortgage right now? What's putting food on my table? How do I take that leap of faith and believe in me? And not all businesses succeed as well. So it has to be somewhat calculated. And also, if you have a support system, that's good as well. Well, thank you. And we'll talk a lot about your business as well in a minute. So Monique, tell us about you.
A similar story as Sherry. I was a single mom. My son's father went away to prison, and it was kind of, we weren't together, but it happened kind of quickly. So he did have a relationship with his dad. And he went away when he was about 4 years old. So that's why I was asking, when they're so young, they don't quite understand what jail is. They just know that their parent that was around is no longer around. And then you're thrust into being a full-time single mom. So for me, the main thing was stability. I was really big on just trying to keep a stable household for him, and make sure that he just has some sense of normalcy in his childhood. Because, I can remember growing up, although I had both my parents in the home, we had summer times, we played outside all day. We were kids. We didn't worry about some of the things that I think our children nowadays have to worry about. They can't just be kids. So I did my best, and I started selling real estate back in 2004. And a gentleman that I worked with wanted to introduce me to his brother. And his brother happens to be my husband now. At the time, we were just friends, and I was not looking to date anybody at that time. You know how it is being a single mom. You're just working and taking care of your kids. So we remained friends for a few years, and then eventually, we dated and got married. But he was a very stable male figure in my son's life. We never forced him to call him dad or anything like that. It just naturally grew. The two of them are very close to this day. So that was super important to me as well, is that he had a male figure. My dad still lived in Maryland at the time. So he knew him and he saw him when we went to go visit, but just having that constant figure in his life, he didn't quite have that. And my brother's in Delaware. So I don't know what else. I just worked, and then we had my daughter, and I mean, our kids are close, even though they're far in age. They're like almost 8 years apart in age. So there's a big gap in that, but they're very close as far as friends.
Thank you for sharing, Monique. And I'm sure it was not easy having a 4-year-old child and facing the world as a single mom. So what do you think gave you the strength? Where did you pull your strength from to get out of that and pursue a new career at that time?
Well, I mean, I believe in God. I mean, that hands down, I could not have done anything without that, that faith foundation. So I was raised in the church. And then when you get older, you don't want to have to go to church every Sunday and be there all day. So I did stray, and I wasn't, there every day, but I still had that foundation. So what I knew was, when I was alone, if nobody else would pick up the phone, I could close my eyes and I could pray. And so when there was nothing else that I could hold on to, that is what I held on to. And my son and I have prayed together. He loves God as well. Both of my children do, but those hard days when I could not see the end or the light, that's what, and I have two praying parents. I mean, both of my parents have prayed with me. They still do. My in-laws as well. So that is my foundation. And then sports too, but you know, hands down, it's my faith. So
Thank you. Thank you so much. And I thought about quotes for this evening to recognize women, and this one stood out to me. The success of every woman should be the inspiration to another. We should raise each other up. Make sure you're very courageous, be strong, be extremely kind, and above all, be humble. And you're also humble. So I want you ladies to raise the women up in your life or who have impacted you and empowered you in some way that you considered phenomenal. And why is this person phenomenal to you, or persons? So Sherry, let's start with you. What phenomenal women do you know?
Well, my mom is one, for sure, with her strength. And like Monique was saying, she always prayed. She always prayed for us, to move forward no matter what. Her favorite scripture, which stuck with me, was "Let your heart not be troubled." And by her saying that, and that carried on with me when I felt down or low. So I used that scripture, and also using, the scripture about strength, to move forward and to let that living water flow through you no matter what. And then I had a phenomenal coach, Coach Francis. She was a tough woman. She was a white woman, but she was tough. But she was passionate about her coaching, and that made me want to play with passion. So I can have a purposeful lifestyle in my life, in my boy's life, and whoever life that I came in touch with. Because women is always coming to me, and I'm always guiding them and directing them to do what is best in their lives for them at that moment. But for some reason, they always come and just tell me their lifestyle story. I never give them my opinion. I just walk them through the process. So I keep telling them, just trust the process.
Thank you. And for the viewers, if you have a phenomenal woman you want to recognize, please put that in the chat as well. And I want to ask Monique. Monique, who is the phenomenal woman? Do you have anyone that inspires you?
Well, I have a few. But my mother and I were very close now. We were not that very close growing up, but she was a hardworking woman. Never made excuses for anything, so she didn't accept them either. So my mother taught me how to be a strong woman, to work for everything that you want. You can't say that you want something and not work for it. So I was taught that at a very early age. And just being responsible, because she was out on her own at I was 19, so I think she was probably about the same age. So any of the choices that we made, good or bad, we had to be responsible for those choices. And she made that clear at a very early age. So I will say, overall, she's been the biggest influence in my life. Her spiritual walk, she's been through some really tough things in her life, and me being able to observe how she handled those things and still took care of her family, took care of her kids, still go to work every day, so I had that example growing up.
Thank you. And I'm looking in the chat. I see Ron Garrett said his phenomenal woman is Miss Sherry Garrett. Stellar and phenomenal. So thank you for that. I would imagine, so I agree with you on that one, Dr. Garrett. How about you, Tamieka? Who would you recognize tonight?
I don't know if there's one specific woman, but like I look up to and I'm influenced by a confident woman, anybody who's working hard, anybody who is positive. Those are the people I look up to. Then again, now that I'm thinking about it, if I had to choose one person, it probably would be my mother. Because of how the things that she instilled in us as children, integrity, manners. She had a heart of gold. She had a lot of loyalty to people. I don't think I've ever seen her like be mean to a person, except to us, of course, when we misbehave. But yeah, I love how the things that she instilled in us, God, of course. And she's terminally ill, so I only got to experience her for about 20. She's still alive, but for about 21 years. So I feel like I kind of got shortchanged, and it could have been even better, had we have more years with her, being able to, I can't call her for a recipe. I can't call her for advice, but I feel like what she gave me in that 21 years really helped mold the woman that I am now, as far as integrity, how to treat people, manners, respect, those type of things.
A lot of things that are very concerning for a lot of people out there now. I hear a lot of conversations about the younger generation with respect and integrity. So I'm glad your mom did that for you. And I see Michelle Hussein has put that her phenomenal woman in her life is her mom, Eve. So thank you, Eve, for raising another phenomenal woman in Miss Michelle Hussein, who's a producer of T.C.E. So actually, shout out to her mom times 10. And Desmond says these ladies all have a very interesting and unique story to tell, very powerful. And I would recognize two women. I would recognize my grandma, who was very, very tough on the rest of the world. I call her my cursing grandma because I grew up in Jamaica, and she just would cuss out anybody that came to the gate, and she would be feared. And she would just line up every Jamaican bad word and curse out people. She would be up all night. And first thing in the morning before the roosters even came out. And I don't think I ever met a stronger woman in my entire life, because she just raised, her own kids and grandkids, and just no matter what came her way, she handled it her way. And she's probably the most significant woman that I know in my life. And then my daughter, who just turned 21, has taught me a lot too. I mention her a lot, and my son, but as a woman, my daughter is powerful, her strength, which means I did something right. She's stubborn like her mom. So we butt heads like mom and daughters do, but just her strength to succeed and do something, and to be respectful and kind and just generous with her time and her love is just amazing. And, like most moms, you're at a point with your daughter at this stage where you have a beautiful relationship. They're all beautiful at different stages, and some of them get kind of rough, but, she will be a powerful and strong woman for her journey as well. So I'm really proud and would recognize Jay Jeffrey as a powerful woman to be reckoned with. So I do want to throw in another quote that came to mind, and it's from Maya Angelou. She says, if you're always trying to be normal, you will never know how amazing you can be. So, just for women to continue to be amazing. And I want to go back to Tamieka and tell us, Tamieka, about your company now and what lessons you've learned as far as that you'd pass on to others with that journey? I know you mentioned some of them.
As far as how it's grown.
Like your company, what's the name of your company? How can people find you?
Okay. The name of the company is Greg Lewis Interiors. The website is www.glewisinteriors.com. And like I said before, we do residential and commercial interior design, and we also stage homes, like model homes or homes that, real estate agents put on the market for sellers. And then Greg Lewis Investments is more for myself. It's purchasing homes and flipping them or rehabbing them, renovating them, and putting them back on the market. And I don't have a website for that one.
So the name Greg Lewis, how did you come up with that name? I think there's an interesting story behind that one.
Yeah. So Greg is my mother's maiden name. Lewis is my grandmother's maiden name, or my maternal grandmother's maiden name. And I wanted the business to be kind of like an ode to them because they were both very artistic. And I know that's where I got my artistic gifts from as far as being creative. And then I remember when I was younger, my grandmother, and I've told the story a lot of times because it has such a huge effect on where I am now. She kept her house so nice. Like the beds were made to perfection. It was just furnished beautifully. And being young, every time we took a trip to go see my grandmother, and I would walk in her house and be like completely fascinated. And in my mind, being young, I was like, my grandma's rich. My grandparents are rich. But it was just how she decorated the house that made it look that way. And it got to a point where sometimes I would, if I'm sleeping in the guest room, I would get up and try to make the bed back how she made it. Just try to do the things that she did, and it kind of just stuck. And then I think getting older, and which is a big part of my business now, is realizing that you don't have to be rich to have your house decorated. You know what I mean? You don't have to be rich to be able to afford an interior designer. And that's something that I try to instill in my clients, future clients. Like, we don't have to fly in marble from Italy and get lighting from Rome. It can be done with a reasonable budget, of course, but it's on me to make it look like you spent a lot of money.
Tamieka, can I ask the question?
Sure.
As being a Black woman, was it hard for you to get started in your business?
I'm going to say no. And I think it's because of where I live. Atlanta is like Black Hollywood. So it's not unnormal for a Black woman to be running a business. So I would say no. Now, if I was still in Miami, I think it would be a little bit more of a struggle. I don't think I would be where I am now had I still been living in Miami trying to do this.
Okay. Thank you.
You could probably ask Monique that same question too.
Well, I mean, everybody knows a real estate agent, or 5 or 10, everybody has a real estate license in Atlanta. So it wasn't hard being a single mom at the time, though. That transition, like Tamieka said, there was an overlapping of when I was a manager for a jewelry store, and having to juggle those two schedules to build a business where I was able to make enough money to be able to go into real estate full time. Because it's really difficult to do this business part-time. Your clients are paying you good money, and they demand, your time. So I had to make a decision, and it was a leap of faith. And I did have a huge support system. But, like Tamieka said, I mean, it when, it could be scary, but when you are working in your business around the clock and you're just in your own world, it doesn't feel like you're working. You're at peace, you have joy, you're happy, versus when you're doing something that you don't necessarily get that same fulfillment. So for me, eventually I had to make a decision just for my own happiness and peace. Yeah.
Thank you. And tell us where people find you, Monique. Tell us about your business.
Well, I'm with Berkshire Hathaway. And so my website is www.moniquesellesatlanta.com. And I'm on Facebook as well. So you can find me there too. And it's my real name. So you can just put Monique Seals.
And Sherry, tell us about what you'd want people to know about life, its journey, and anything else you want to share with us tonight.
Just when you're going through and you know what your purpose is and your passion, that you need to be driven by your thoughts and make your thoughts reality, to move forward in whatever you do. And to me, I feel like you have to just know without a shadow of a doubt who you are, so that you can move to wherever you want to do or whatever you want to accomplish in life. I feel strongly about that, and I'm going to stand on that.
Good. And man, you've been challenged in life. What was it like when Dr. Garrett returned home for you?
It was, to me, it was, I needed some closure at that point. And I met him at the transition home, and he was nervous, of course, because we hadn't seen each other in a long time. And then, so from that point, when we met up with each other, he was nervous. And then how I knew he was back to my best friend is when he started praying. From that point, it has been a life good journey. I can't ask for no more. He's the person I first met, always giving, always doing what he's supposed to do, and with his passion, with the returning citizens. And we both, is starting a business in that, so that we can always help and help someone that is not left behind. And that's what we love to do.
Don't you have an event coming up with that?
Yes, that's coming up is returning citizens with a second chance is during April is awareness. It's April 24th, starting at 11 till 5. He's having a lot of entertainers, football players. He's gonna have basketball players. He's gonna have entertainers. And we have governors that's gonna talk about the awareness about returning citizens and what resources that is out there for returning citizens. And that's men and women. So, yes.
Exactly. And if you didn't see the episode with Dr. Garrett, please check it out. It was so moving. It was such an eye-opening episode. It's called Incarceration, and it's also on the Caribbean Edge Facebook and our YouTube channel as well. But we thank you both for being so open with your journey, because I certainly learned so much from you both. Oh my gosh. You're amazing. Women, thank you. So women, in closing, if you're talking to women out there, you're talking to especially our young girls, what would you say to them? Because I think we're so powerful, and our message to our younger generation is something that's irreplaceable. So let's start with you, Monique. Young girls, what would you say to them? And any parting words you'd want?
I was off the chain when I was young. So, and I'm just being honest. And I think sometimes, we feel like we have to be perfect. And, they see successful women and they're like, oh, they never did anything wrong. I made a lot of mistakes. But as I grew older and I had an idea of what I wanted to be, because there's an internal fight where you're like, I'm like this right now, but I really don't want to be like this. I want to be better. Like Tamieka said, you want more for yourself. You want a better life for yourself. And so you start surrounding yourself with people that live like that now. people that can see the potential in you, that will speak life into you. And so that's where I would say to start. It's because what you see around you, your environment, you're going to repeat it. You know, coming from Baltimore City and, you know, some of the things that I was involved in, I was just repeating what was the norm for me to see. So, um, my encouragement would be to love yourself, be gentle with yourself, but also align yourself with people that are going where you would want to be.
Well said. I could not have said that any better. Wow. It's so true. That's so real. And unfortunately, we don't learn that till we're older. A lot of us. So some awesome advice there from someone that wasn't perfect. It was still not perfect, right? How about you, Tamieka? Anything in closing, any messages you'd want to deliver to our youth?
It sounds so cliche, but I would say follow your dreams. There, just have no doubt that if it's in your heart and it feels right and you want to do it, have no doubt that you can't do it. Operate in positivity, operate in love, avoid negative thoughts. I'm a firm believer that your thoughts pretty much control your life. Whatever you think about, that's what it's going to be. If you give power to negative thoughts, that's what it's going to be. So operate in positivity, of course, operate in faith. One thing that I have learned and I'm still working on is checking my motives, like checking my heart posture, making sure that whatever I do, it's for good reason. You know what I mean? I'm making sure that I'm doing it for the right reasons, to put it that way, and that it feels right. So follow your dreams, stay positive, dream big. God's not going to put any, somebody just told me this the other day. They were like, I'm going through, taking a real estate course right now because I want to be able to do my own deals with my investment properties. And it's been so hard trying to manage that and my business. And someone said to me the other day, they said, God was not going to put that desire in your heart to go back to school if it's not what you're supposed to be doing. So even though it's beating me down right now, it's going to work out for good. And, you know, anything that he has put in my heart to do, I followed it and it's all worked out. It's all fell into place easily.
Oh, yeah. We know about those negative thoughts, don't we? Negative thoughts. Sometimes it's negative people and someone could talk you out of something. So believe in yourself too. Yes, great. I so agree with that. And Miss Sherry Garrett, any words for our youth?
Yeah, I mean, the sky is unlimited for anyone. Shoot for the stars. And look in the mirror at yourself. Look at if people around you are not doing good, because you're gonna have haters, regardless of anywhere you go, you're gonna have haters. But I love haters because it pushed me and it drives me to be who I am today. And also just continue believing in yourself. That is the most important thing, is to believe in yourself. No matter what someone else says, do it and believe it and then receive it.
Do it, believe it, and receive it. So said by Miss Sherry Garrett tonight. Thank you for that. All powerful advice from some phenomenal women. And I'm going to leave you all with a quote, another quote, but this one by Louisa May Alcott. And she says, "The emerging woman will be strong-minded, strong-hearted, strong-souled, and strong-bodied. Strength and beauty must go together." And I see that in all you women tonight. So thank you so much for joining us, and for our viewers for tuning in and sharing this episode. One love to all. Have a phenomenal night.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.